I spent the last week hard grinding ranked. I hit Diamond very early on in the split, then took a break and decided to come back and continue my grind to become a better player. In today's video, I'm going to give you some tips and strategies I used to go from the bottom of Diamond 4 to hitting Masters in only a week. Let's get right into it.
You gotta event it. You know?
Here it is, baby.
There it is, baby. So the first tip I want to give you guys has to do with your drop spots. A good game of rank starts with a good drop location. This will set you up for the early fights you will take and determine your next steps after you land. I really like Olympus as a ranked map because the drop spots, or POIs as I will refer to them, not only have multiple buildings, but some POIs have multiple floors, underground areas, and even replicators you can use to craft ammo, meds, and more. Loot tends to be pretty dense, especially in the bigger POIs, so if you land correctly, you can almost ensure your team will get armors and weapons they can fight with. You're not looking for your ideal loadout from your first place of landing, however you want to make sure you have weapons you feel comfortable fighting with. Be sure to discuss with your teammates what guns you like to use and know what loadouts they like running so that you can ping weapons, attachments, and make the looting process a lot more efficient. Ideally, you don't want to spend more than 2 to 3 minutes looting your drop spot. Once this time has passed, teams are beginning to rotate towards the next zone and looking for fights to take along the way. The last thing you want to do is get pulled up on by an entire team while you're still looking for that blue barrel stabilizer for your R301. In order to loot your POI efficiently, I recommend splitting it up 3 ways between your teammates. When you have a POI to yourself, divide it up in a way that every team member is looting a different side, or a different building. For example, if I were landing hydroponics, I would have 2 teammates take the top buildings and I would take the bottom building and the crates. We quickly loot our areas, pinging loot for our team and dibsing loot we need, and within 2 minutes we have armor and guns we're comfortable with. In this game, we noticed 2 teams 50-50 dropping at Elysium when we landed. We take height on the right side of Elysium and third party the team that won the fight, securing us early KP easily. 50-50ing is a drop strategy where you and an enemy team both contest a POI and fight for it using whatever loot you get from your initial buildings. Contesting a POI with one or more teams is a risky investment that I would be very cautious about committing to. Especially once you get to Diamond or above, taking a 50-50 off drop is almost never worth the -45 or -60 that you're risking. Remember, it's called a 50-50 because there's usually an equal chance that either team can win the fight. You want to be taking fights where there's a 70, 80, or above % chance that you can win. Well, I did mention that POIs and Olympus have dense loot distribution. When there's 6 or more people looting one location, you're bound to end up short, either in armor, weapons, or both. Now, there are some times when taking a 50-50 off drop is unavoidable, such as if a team lands late on your drop. You should usually have the advantage in this scenario because if you're splitting up your POI correctly, everyone should have at least something to fight with and a white armor. However, luck can play against you, and if you find yourself or your teammates lacking decent weapons or armor to fight with, don't be afraid to quickly rotate out of that drop spot and find somewhere else to loot. This being said, if you do get landed on by a team late, regroup with your teammates immediately. Once a team realizes that you are solo looting a building, they will surround and outnumber you. If you get knocked without getting a trade or doing damage, you are putting your team at a major disadvantage. An initial knock to start a fight will give the enemy team a confidence boost and allow them to pin you in a disadvantageous position. Another important tip to learn is when rezzing or grabbing a banner is not a good play. If you or someone on your team gets knocked, 9 out of 10 times you will get immediately pushed and aggroed by the team looking to capitalize on that opportunity. If you have safe cover or a gibby bubble, you can attempt a res, but be cautious about sticking a res when you have nades flying in and damage being dealt to you. You and your down teammate are extremely vulnerable, and you going down or taking a lot of damage regardless whether you get the res off or not is usually not worth it. Only res if you're able to hold the team off long enough to get a decent reset and heal, or if you know that it's safe. The same goes for grabbing banners. Make sure you're having whatever movement character your team is playing do the banner grabbing. For example, Octane and Horizon are pretty good for grabbing banners because they can exit from a situation quickly. But if you have a full team sitting on your teammate's banner, most of the time they are going to camp that banner to either get the easy kill on you when you come back in, or to at least get your teammate permanently out of the game. You don't want to get knocked to secure a banner. And the best times to grab a banner are when the enemy team isn't pushed up far enough to punish you for it, or if the attention is divided on a third party or other people in the POI. This should also go without saying, but be mindful of where you're respawning your teammates as well. You want to pick a location that's far enough away from the other fights, but also has at least an armor and a weapon for your teammate. Any nearby teams will gladly take the opportunity to push your respawn and kick you while you're already down. Be prepared to watch for other teams pushing you and quickly rotate away from the res beacon as soon as possible. So now that we've covered how to drop and loot efficiently and what to do when your teammates go down, let's talk a little about taking fights. Like I mentioned earlier, you only want to take fights that you're fairly confident you could win. Having high ground, better loot, or outnumbering a team is a good reason to take a fight. Getting a knock early can also be a good reason to push in, but with any of these reasons, you have to weigh the pros with the cons. If you're maxed on kills and assists, evaluate if the fight is really worth taking. If it's isolated and an easy cleanup, or you're in need of some better loot and you're sure that you can win it, you may be able to justify it. However, if you're good on loot, have 4 or more KP, and already have good positioning for later zones, don't give up your spot for potential kills. You want to learn where zones could potentially pull and then set your team up for the best or second best position for endgame. Early game is dropping correctly, looting efficiently, and taking smart fights. Mid game is securing any isolated KP and planning for late game. And finally, late game is having an advantageous position in relation to your other teams and equipping yourself in the best possible way to ensure a victory with max KP. In this clip here, we wrongly give up our endgame position to try and secure KP. Our teammates low on KP and gets antsy. We almost wipe completely because of this. We lose our endgame zone, location, and later end up taking a lower placement and less KP because we got pinched in between 2 teams during our rotation. Ranked is a game of patience and strategy. Don't jump into every fight you see just because you can. Forcing a fight on a team that just res can be an easy cleanup for a couple KP, however make sure to survey the area around and be mindful of other teams. Chances are you're not the only team that heard that res, and you don't want to get forced into a fight with the other team that tried to third party as well. Try to make it a habit to take isolated fights, capitalize on enemies that make mistakes or have bad positioning, and always take different angles when you fight. When you engage in a fight, there's no reason to have everyone shooting from the same rooftop. Play a wall on the side or an off angle by a doorway. You want to catch your opponents off guard, and you don't want all 3 of them looking at you all at the same time. Don't overextend from your team to do damage, especially if you're not on a movement character. However, if you get scanned or you know that the other team knows that you're extended, don't be afraid to reposition. The last thing you want to do is get caught out and be the first one to go down on your team. Like I said earlier, the first knock sets a strong lead for the team that gets it. Don't be afraid to experiment with other legends, loadouts, and sites as well while you're on your rank grind. One really important change I made was switching to Octane instead of playing Wraith. This gave our team a faster and more efficient rotate in and out of fights with the jump pad. With Olympus being such an open map with a lot of verticality, having Octane's pad allowed us to have a way around the map quickly, both out of bad situations, into good ones, and onto good positioning. I also experimented with sights and guns. My favorite primary to run this split has been the R301 with the 2x or 3x sight. The 2x and 3x, if you can learn to control them, are really useful for allowing you to capitalize on a player or a team rotating out in the open. Olympus is a huge map, and there will be a lot of opportunities to apply pressure on people with these zoomed in sights. I've also experimented with running snipers to apply pressure on teams. This keeps them from pushing in on our endgame position and allows me to be a part of the fight even if I'm not as close as my team. Sometimes, for example, I would use the jump pad to get height and then apply pressure with a sniper as my team pushed in and secured kills. I'm not saying you have to run snipers or play passively to gain RP, however you want to make sure you're taking smart engagements and maximizing the amount of damage you can deal during these engagements. If you're finding yourself stagnant in gaining RP or even losing RP, don't be afraid to try a new comp or some different weapons for a night. Change up your playstyle and learn how these changes help or hurt you. Some people will benefit more from close range loadouts and aggressive legends, and others may like to play a more strategic game. One size does not fit all in this case, and I've seen success in myself and other friends' games using all kinds of loadouts and legend compositions. So we've covered minimizing your losses and maximizing your wins by landing smart, looting more efficiently, and taking fights strategically. We've covered how to deal with 50-50s, how to deal with the unexpected, and how to recover from a disadvantageous fight. We've talked about legend comps, weapon loadouts, and how to play effectively with your team. The most important tip among all of these, if you take nothing away from this video, is communication. Having a consistent group of friends that are willing to grind and improve is probably one of the biggest factors that can be make or break for some. Make sure you're playing with people that are open to constructive criticism and that are willing to grow and develop their skills with you. If you don't have a team, there are plenty of discords with people that are looking for consistent and dedicated ranked grinders. Being able to communicate with your team before, during, and after games and use this feedback to improve as a player will ensure your growth and development. If you take the time to understand and implement the strategies I outlined in this guide, I have no doubt that you will see improvements in your ranked gameplay, your game sense, and your ability to be a good teammate and work well with your team. I use these tips to go from Diamond 4 to Masters in only a week's time, and I know that some of y'all can benefit from these as well. If you learned anything from this video or enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like. It helps me out a lot and tells the algorithm to recommend this video to more people that may need these tips. I hope you guys enjoyed these tips and strategies for ranking up and gaining RP in Season 8 of Apex Legends. Comment down below what rank you are currently and what rank you're grinding for, and maybe you'll come back to this video at the end of the split and surprise yourself with how much you've progressed. I'd love to talk with some of y'all in the comments and see what your goals are. While you're at it, if you enjoy the content and you want to see more Apex Legends guides, tips, and gameplays, please hit that subscribe button. About 97% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, and we are inching closer to 2,000 subscribers with every video. If you want to discuss any of the things I talked about, or want to just come chill and hang out, I stream live on Twitch at twitch.tv/hybridify_. We'd love to see some of y'all there. Thank you all so much for all the support on my socials recently. I genuinely appreciate it, and I am planning on ramping up the content grind very soon, so stay tuned for that. I hope you all have an amazing day. Good luck on your rank grind, and I will catch you all in the next one. Later.